What's good, YouTube? Whoa. So I just got this new camera. It's called a Osmo something, but look at this. Like, it looks so cool, bro. Look at this. I'm gonna go over here. Yeah, yeah, that's so sweet. And my audio, I had the most shitty, like, I forget what this is called, like a lapel or something. I've had the most shitty lapel for the longest time ever. Oh, this is sweet. Let me show you something real quick. Look at this. Hold on, this is so cool. Wait. Look at this. Look at this. Hold on. I'm gonna show you something real quick. Hold on. Oh, it's fire. Whoa. Look at this. Whoa, whoa. What am I doing? Oh, shit. Yeah, that's sweet. Hold on. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, that's sweet. You can see. Damn, this is crazy. But happy Eid. Happy Eid. That's why I'm gonna record this video. That's why I'm making this. It is March 20th right now, March 20, 2026. And it was my first Ramadan ever. I kinda wanna record like this. This is fire. Damn, this is actually so cool. Taking it back inside. So, for all my Muslims who fasted this year, it is Eid. It's Eid. And this year was the first time that I've ever fasted. It's definitely been what I was looking for. You know, when I fasted, like a little bit of backstory, because I talked about this on my YouTube channel, and maybe you came from a different video where I talked about, like, you know, my thoughts during Ramadan, why initially I even want to do this in the first place back 30 days ago. But I've never had religion forced on me since I was a kid. I've never been, you know, my parents just allowed me to have my own thoughts, allowed me to form my own beliefs in my own way. Of course, they persuaded me, they show me what they think is true, what they think is good. And they just allowed me to, like, figure the word out on my own, which I love. I think it's a blessing in itself. And as I grow older, I'm 21 years old right now. I forget I can have a drink of water even though it's nighttime right now. This is so cool, by the way. This is so cool. This is like the first video I'm doing on my YouTube with this camera, so it's really fucking cool. Uh-oh, spilled some water. But I never had religion forced on me since I was a kid, and it led me just to have my own beliefs. Like, I don't know, like, when I was a kid, whenever I heard people talk about God, like Christianity, right? And even like Muslims, even though my own family, like my extended family, they're Muslim. I just thought like it was this culty thing. It was weird. And let me, hold on, I want to get a face tracking on this. There we go. Let's try this. But I always thought religion was like this culty thing. Like, I thought a negative connotation of what religion was. So it led me to really believe in science. Like, I just thought there was always a logical reason for, like, why, like, how we were here today, you know, coming from animals, coming from, you know, we evolved over time. The Big Bang Theory is something that I used to, like, study when I was a kid. Like, I remember there was this one sick day I took back in middle school, and I just spent the day just watching that documentary, and it was very valuable for me because it gave me a lot of reason towards why we're here today. Because I think that is a question that you ask yourself, no matter what point you are in your life, you're at, like, why am I here? Like, it's kind of that realization that I had, like, how did I get here? And I was trying to find a reasoning to that, but here's the thing. There's something that you cannot explain. There's some things that happen in your life, like coincidences, like luck, if you will. And it's really just God's plan. Like, there's things that you just cannot explain. And that's when you say, okay, it's just a higher power. There's something beyond me that is kind of guiding my life. Like, I believe in God's plan. And I think that something I've been reading a lot during in the Quran. I have an English translation because I can't read Arabic. I can understand it a little bit, but one thing that's repeated constantly is that Allah is the best of all planners. And I think that's a really good, reasoning towards why things happen the way they do. Because I'm sure you do as well, like multiple coincidences throughout my life where I'm like, why did that happen? Like, how did that happen? That's such a weird coincidence. Like maybe it's a person that you haven't ran into in a very, very long time. And the day before you run into them, you have like a thought of them in your head. You're like, damn, I haven't seen that person in a while. The next day you see that person. And I just say that there's some things that you just cannot explain. And as I grow older, as I continue to like just form my own thoughts, form my own beliefs, find answers to the questions that I've always had, like just being observant of other people, what their beliefs are, what their faith is. I realized that faith is something that I really need to step towards. I was at a point in my life where I was very, very directionless. I didn't know what I wanted to do. I was in college, didn't feel like I was called towards college. I felt like I was putting up some false persona being in college, not really following my true purpose. I felt like I could do more. So it looked like me going on self-improvement, me really just trying to build the best possible version of myself. I've leaned out to the best physique I've ever had. I built a lot of discipline along the way. And I kind of just like subconsciously rewired my brain into building the identity that I have right now. Because before I did that, before I was just like, honestly, just a complete degen. Like I just felt a lot of pleasure in scrolling on my phone, a lot of, not pleasure, but just like, that's all I knew how to do. That's what gave me progression and fulfillment at the time, was just looking for something quick and ready. Porn, scrolling on my phone, drinking alcohol, putting up this false social persona when I was going out and meeting new people. That's what kind of like, not made me, but just got me by. I think that's the best way to describe it. It just got me by. Because I was just putting like this false persona. But as I continue, like as I discover myself and I like take the time to ask, what do I really want? Because that's what I was missing. Because I was at a point where I couldn't go a single waking moment of the day without some sort of social media consumption, some sort of instant gratification consumption. Like I was highly addicted in my brain. And it wasn't until I snapped that identity and told myself that I'm not the person that wants to look for instant pleasure. I find pleasure, I find fulfillment, I find dopamine in the things that take time and are congruent towards my long-term goals, right? And that's kind of like what I told myself. That was like the mental reframe that I had to make. And, I really got on self-improvement. I really got like into just building a foundation, which was within myself. And, I focus on areas of my life like, my physique, my mental health, my just dieting well, right? My finances, my business, my relationships. But one thing that I always like try to keep in my life was spirituality. I was very confused. I still am. I'm, reading this every so often. I was doing it daily, but I kind of, I'm going to be honest with you, I kind of broke the habit of doing this daily, but I was reading this every single day. I didn't know what exactly I was reading. I was just taking notes blindly. I was trying to find like ways to relate the things that I was learning in these chapters back into my own life to try to like, interpret the knowledge best I can in my own way. But yeah, I was just like blindly doing this, just blindly trying to, pick up Islam, pick up, the religion right here, the Quran, which I think is a great spiritual or religious textbook. I really think it is. And I just want to be well educated. And of course, I have Muslim friends. Like I don't have direct access and contact with my cousins, which a lot of my cousins are in Jordan. I'm Jordanian. But like I have friends back in my hometown of Virginia, very close friend, and he is Yemenis, and he, this is a guy I call my brother. I think of him no less than my brother. Like this is blood to me. And, we talk back and forth a lot, and he was the one to try to not convince me, but just educate me of why I might want to try fasting. He was the one that he was the one that gave me this book. He didn't force it on me, but he simply just dropped it off at my house one day. He said, pick it up, read it if you want, and just, here it is if you want it. And when he did that, I was reading it every single day. I didn't know what I was doing again. I didn't know what I was doing with the book, but I just read it. I just wanted to do that just so I can like try to educate myself. So as time progressed and I went through a lot of seasons in life, and I've documented a lot. That's my YouTube channel. I was living in my hometown of Richmond, Virginia. I recently moved out to Miami, Florida about 6 months ago, and just a complete lifestyle change, complete just my whole life just got flipped around. I ruptured my appendix within the past year, or maybe last year if it's 2025. Just a lot of things that were happening in my life. And this was a big focus for me. It's just trying to build on my spirituality, trying to educate myself. And I think this is a lifelong journey. I don't think this is something that's going to be solved overnight. I don't think, this is something that I'm questioning as of right now, like trying to figure out, like, I don't consider myself a Muslim. I consider myself just like trying to dive into a religion. I fasted this year. Maybe that, makes me so like committed in that sense. But I really just wanted to participate in something that is very, very, valued in Islam culture, which is obviously fasting for Ramadan. And I want to kind of touch on what it means to me, because my perspective might be a little bit different from someone who's always been fasting in their life, or someone who is just watching from like a third perspective of, not knowing anything about Islam, about being Muslim, or like maybe, a little bit. But for me, it was more about just building a sacrifice every single day from sunrise to sunset with God. Things that are very accessible. We take this for granted, having accessible food and water, which is such a blessing in itself, and being able to access that almost whenever you want. Like, that's such a blessing in itself. And the point of Ramadan, from what I've, the experience in this past month, is that you build up your sacrifice throughout the day. It's not suffering, but rather it's sacrifice. It's self-control, it's discipline that you build with God. And you break that obviously at sunset. And I think that was a beautiful thing, because it really, it builds a lot of self-control, it builds a lot of discipline, and more than anything, it's built a lot of gratitude for the little things. Like being able to wake up today, this is again, first day of Eid, being able to wake up today, drink coffee. I woke up this morning exactly at sunrise. I was reading this book that I just picked up called The Alchemist. My girlfriend gave it to me. So I've never been the type to read. I guess this is, what's the not a real one? I think it's fiction. I might be an incompetent person for saying that, but like a storytelling book. I guess that's what you can call it. But a lot of good lessons I've heard that are in that, so that's why I'm reading it, because I'm more the type to read just like self-improvement or psychological books. And I think books is like the best thing you can possibly do for yourself as a young man in this world. But just waking up and drinking caffeine, sitting on my balcony, watching the sunrise, drinking water, going and hitting my workout during the day. Because before Ramadan, I've never, ever hit workouts at night. But you can't really hit a workout because your muscles are going to cramp during Ramadan. Like, you can push yourself through it. You can thug it out. You can hit a decent workout before iftar, or like maybe after suhoor. But it's not what it could be. Like, I definitely felt limited throughout the month of my workouts. The game that I was playing was not pushing for PRs, but just maintaining the progress that I had. I wasn't going on a heavy cut, but I was definitely like, being conscious of what I was eating. And obviously it's a lot easier because you're only eating, for me, it was one big meal a day. And even for that big meal, like, honestly, it was pretty painful. Like, I would go to sleep and my stomach would be pretty fucking stuffed. My stomach would be, growling the whole night, like not hungry, but just like digestive stuff. And like, I wasn't eating processed food. I was eating pretty clean food, but it was just like so much food I was eating. And I was so worried about hitting my macros that I kind of just made myself suffer because of that. But I was waking up at like 4 a.m. for the first 2/3 of Ramadan, because I was just, that's just like a time that I wanted to wake up. And that was before the time change. And I was drinking so much water in the morning, like, almost half a gallon in the morning. And I would try to go back to sleep, but I just couldn't. Like, I would wake up and I just have to piss every 30 minutes. And it was so miserable. But it was the sacrifice that I was willing to make for a greater reason, a greater purpose. And it's great because, again, like, the things that are so accessible, food and water, like, I just get so much fulfillment, so much more gratitude being able to just pick up my water bottle now during the day, like I went out and played basketball today. That was fire. That was really cool. Just going out and being able to drink water. And then after that, I got some work done. I had a little flow state. And then I made lunch, just like simple stuff like that I got so much fulfillment off of because I've put myself through so much sacrifice. I think that's the beauty of Ramadan. That's the beauty of fasting. That's the beauty of practicing self-control and discipline. Because that's overall like the message that I want to take away from this video, is that that's the beauty of it, is that you will find real fulfillment, real dopamine in the things that you start to delay. Because I'll kind of emphasize this because this is relevant towards me and relevant towards what I talk more about on social media, within my YouTube, within my IG. But, when I was in this like degenerate period of my life where I was really searching for a lot of instant gratification through scrolling on my phone, through watching porn, through alcohol, right? I was choosing the things that were so instant for me, that gave me something pleasurable up front, that made me experience some sort of, false emotion. Like when I was scrolling on my phone, like social media, this is all it is. It's all of the past clips of the best moments of people's lives, just compiled into very, very short clips that make you angry, make you jealous, make you excited, make you laugh. Like they're all borrowed emotion from someone else's best moment in their life, just replayed over and over and over again. And the way that the algorithm is set up is that 95% of the videos that you see are all the most viral videos. So you're experiencing literally the most heightened emotion of someone's life. And just, the scroll of your phone right here. Just like scroll, right? All of those emotions all at one time. So what do you think that does to your mind over the years? Because the way you think about it, right, is that these actions that you take, like just like mindlessly fucking doom scrolling, it's an action. You're doing it. Even though you're not even conscious when you're doing it, you're kind of like sleepwalking when you're doing it, you're still doing it. That action reaffirms your subconscious mind that the things that you feel fulfillment from, like drinking water, going for a walk, going without your phone, they're not as instant as just scrolling on your phone, right? And you reinforce that over and over and over again as you just continue to pick up your phone and scroll. And all of a sudden, the things that actually gave you fulfillment, the things that you actually want to do, instead of playing video games, actually building a skill set that is valuable, actually building your communication skills, actually going out to talk to people. Those real emotions you get from doing real things start to get suppressed over time, and you start to like just choose the easier option. It's so easy to give into comfort in a very subconscious state. And again, relating this back to what Ramadan is and fasting, like being able to build that self-control, build that discipline in, the eyes of God, it's great. It's so good. And each fast that I did throughout the entire 30 days, you're able to practice that more and more and more and more and reinforce in a positive way compared to how you were doing it with scrolling on your phone, right? The same way that it works when you scroll on your phone and you reinforcing this identity of you being a degen, you searching for instant dopamine, you searching for the things that are very quick and accessible to you, the things that are incongruent towards what you actually want to do. The same way that happens is inverse and true towards who you could be, your desired state, right? Everyone wants to have maxed out stats, if you will. And that's like kind of how I like to think about it, right? Life is a video game, and your character statistics, your skill sets, right? Communication, sales, are you hands-on with tools? Are you good with cars? Like these specific skill sets, right? You want to max out those things. How do you work on those skill sets, right? It comes with time. It comes with time and, experience, right? If you're not at the position that you want to be, there's either one of two things that are wrong. Either not enough time has passed, or you haven't put enough action towards where you want to get to. That's kind of how I want to think about it. That's kind of how I framed it in my mind, is that I'm not the person that I want to be because, either my actions aren't congruent towards who I can be, which, it looked like me just rewriting my entire identity and just being truthful with myself. Every single waking moment, like I was, if I even thought about picking up my phone, it literally just felt illegal in my mind because it wasn't who I wanted to be. It was so against the identity that I built in my mind that I just like convinced myself that this is the worst possible thing in the world. Even if I just like, even just thinking about picking up my phone and scrolling, like that's how it was in my mind. That's the level of delusion that I had to hit. And every single action, like there were days where I just didn't know what to do, but I didn't want to scroll. I didn't want to do something very, very degenerate, I guess. Like, you know, for me too, that was eating a ton of fucking junk food and just like fucking brain rot, just sitting in my bed, just doing fucking nothing or playing video games. I would just sit in silence, bro. Like my freshman year of college, when I made this switch initially, when I was saying that, you know, I don't care what I have to do, I want to change, I just meditated for hours. I didn't know what the fuck I was doing. I really didn't. But I was so over who I was before that I was willing to do anything that I could to escape that reality. And that's what it looked like. That's what it fucking looked like. It's trying to rewrite that identity by any means possible through the actions that I took. So I'm gonna go ahead and off this video here. I feel like I kind of like spazzed for a little bit. Hopefully gave you some value. Hopefully gave you some insight towards why this Ramadan means something to me. I think it was great. I really had a good time. I'll kind of like finish off this spiel here, but along with that, I was blessed enough to be able to fly out and see my family up in New Jersey, and you know, be able to break iftar with them, have a sword in the morning. It was great. It really was, and I was able to even drive back to my hometown of Richmond all throughout the duration of Ramadan. And this month so far, if I'm going to be honest, it's been very fruitful. It's been very, very fruitful within my business, within my personal life. I was in I'll be honest, like I was in a very, very hard low before this. This is not something I'll talk too much about on YouTube, but the past, you know, me being in Miami, I live alone. I don't have too many friends out here in Miami. I used to, but kind of got burned in the past with previous friendships I had. It's been very, very, like really tough for me. It's honestly been like some of the hardest times of my life, like mentally. I've really been challenged. I've really been tested throughout my time here in Miami, and I don't think that test is over. I do think that I overcame a good chunk of isolation is what it was. And I was really just in a bad state, and I'm glad I overcame it. I have great people in my life. I have a beautiful family. I have great friends. I have a beautiful girlfriend that, you know, stuck by my side. And ultimately it was, you know, just the collection of mental perseverance, of discipline, of having faith, of being able to see things through, that led me through that tough time so far. And again, like it was definitely one of the hardest parts of my life. But yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and off this video here. I'm gonna continue vlogging on this camera, bro. This is fucking sweet. Hope I can get some like more cool clips in here. Let's go ahead and reset this. Cool, but appreciate y'all watching, and I will see you on the next one. Peace.